Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. I have a car, so have fun trying to sleep tonight knowing that this guy's allowed on the road. But I do have one complaint about getting from point A to point B inside of a deadly metal contraption. It's fucking boring! Where's the excitement? Where's the stimulation? Where's the green shells? Well, luckily for humanity, there is a solution. Mario Kart Super Circuit, the first ever portable Mario Kart game. Oh man, I wish I could drive as Wario in real life. Watch the fucking road! Man, I love Mario Kart, but I hate being indoors. What do I do? Give up! Nowadays, Mario Kart is a staple of any Nintendo console. It's incredibly rare that a new Nintendo system's life will come and go without an original Mario Kart. And when that does happen, it's suspicious. What's he up to? But believe it or not, that wasn't always the case. Sure, Super Mario Kart sold over 8 million units, but the series still didn't make its way to the Game Boy. And before you ask, yes, I am still pissed about it. But then, Mario Kart 64 came out and improved every single aspect of the first game, while adding substantially to it to create the ultimate multiplayer experience, and it went on to sell 9.8 million units. This proved that Mario Kart wasn't a one-hit wonder. It was a concept that had the potential to be substantially improved and built upon. The next game after Mario Kart 64 would absolutely blow our socks off. I'll fucking do it myself then! Mario Kart Super Circuit, released on the Game Boy Advance on September 14th, 2001 here in the UK, and was the first ever portable Mario Kart game. Was also the first Mario Kart game to give my washing machine purpose. Yeah, when looking at the Mario Kart series chronologically, Super Circuit definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. After Mario Kart 64 did so much to improve and advance the series, seeing the next game go back to looking like Super Mario Kart is pretty jarring. This is a natural symptom of being diagnosed as a GBA game, as that console obviously isn't as powerful as the Nintendo 64. It could handle some light 3D elements, but what we had going on in Mario Kart 64 is anything but light. But hey, the allure of a portable Mario Kart title was obviously strong, as this game went on to sell 5.91 million copies, making it the 4th best-selling GBA game. Definitely not a feat to be sneezed at. Now, Mario Kart Super Circuit does have one thing going for it over the previous two titles right off the bat, that being the fact that I have the original box for it. That's right, we're out of the Dark Ages. And another thing this game has going for it is that I've never played it. Yup, while I played a decent amount of Mario Kart 64 and dabbled in Super Mario Kart here and there, I have never played Mario Kart Super Circuit. I have no clue what to expect from this title, even more so because I can't see what the f I'm doing. Never expected to be playing Mario Kart by candlelight. Mario Kart Super Circuit is a mix between Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64 in all the best and worst ways. Graphically, this game repurposes the sprite work for the racers from Mario Kart 64. There are stylistic tweaks made to them here and there, but by and large, it's the same sprites. However, the environments are handled the exact same way they were in Super Mario Kart. Flat surfaces that scroll as you move across them to give the illusion of 3D. There are some non-flat elements like trees, but they aren't super common. The backgrounds in Super Circuit, though, are a lot more detailed than in Super Mario Kart, and in my opinion, are what make these levels come to life. I'll get into my opinion on the tracks themselves later on, but suffice it to say, the backgrounds are the strongest part of their identity by a long shot, and can be really nice to look at. The colours pop a lot more in Super Circuit, which gives the game a really pleasing look to it. It's really quite charming and gives this game the cartoony essence that makes Mario Kart feel so fun to me. Now, in terms of gameplay, Super Circuit is a horrifying blend of its two predecessors. I found the turning to feel really janky and inconsistent. It worked fine sometimes, but then other times it felt way too loose and would send me way further than I ever wanted to go. I think generally, I was able to get used to the turning, but I wouldn't say that it was very good here. For a lot of turns, I let go of the acceleration completely to make sure I didn't end up flying way too far in the direction I was turning. And when I mastered this, the controls did end up feeling pretty alright after a while. Now, the drifting in this game pulls a Super Mario Kart on us and is f***ing worthless. So much like in that game, I just didn't bother using it. The hop that pressing the drift button activates can actually be pretty helpful in certain courses, so at least it has that going for it. Now, this could just be a me problem, but of all of the characters available to play as in this game, I didn't get on particularly well with any of them. The roster from Mario Kart 64 is back in full swing here, and they all had elements to them that I didn't like. Each character has their stats displayed on the character select screen, and absolutely all of them had something about them that I just disliked. Yoshi was way too light on the turns, as were Mario and Luigi to some extent. Toad was far too light, Wario was far too slow and clunky, Donkey Kong was fine, and as is tradition at this point, f*** Peach and Bowser. Donkey Kong was probably the character I had the most success with. Mario and Toad are also decent contenders, but the rest of the cast just didn't feel great to me. They also didn't sound great. Yeah, the voices in this game are completely different than in Mario Kart 64, which makes sense in theory, but in practice, does not. Mario sounds fine, Donkey Kong and Bowser retain their animal screeches from 64, but everyone else is f***ed. Toad uses voice clips from all over the place, most notably Mario Party. Peach sounds a different flavor of weird than in 64, Wario sounds absolutely nothing like Wario, Yoshi uses his modern voice clips, and Luigi sounds like a Mickey Mouse impersonator. And not a good Mickey Mouse impersonator. The rest of the sound design though, boy. Super Circuit has an absolutely banging soundtrack. Admittedly, a lot of this has to do with my fondness for the GBA's sound font, but the compositions themselves are all great here, and the sound design outside of the racers' voices is also top-notch. Now, the tracks in this game are something of a mixed bag. With them all being flat and largely 2D, they definitely struggle to feel all that unique, and quite honestly, there were a lot of times where the 3 laps of a race blended into one in my mind because no parts of the levels stood out all that much to me. The game is broken up into 5 cups, starting with the Mushroom Cup. Peach Circuit is pretty alright. The giant pink castle in the background is the only thing about it that screams Peach and makes this feel any different than any other circuit track in the series, but it's a decent track. Shy Guy Beach is great. A genuinely fantastic track, with some really fun theming. There's a pirate ship in the background at all times, and later in the track it starts to fire cannonballs at the racers. That's awesome! Riverside Park has a really nice atmosphere to it, but other than that, it isn't all that memorable. Bowser's Castle 1 is great. The Bowser's Castle stages in this game are the best courses on offer. The music, the theming, it's all so good, and the layouts are generally pretty memorable and fun to work through. The Fire Cup starts off with Mario Circuit, and man, this track is really just here, isn't it? Boo Lake is fantastic. I love the little boos holding candles to light up the raceway, and the background details are sublime. That shortcut though, man, fucks me up every time. Cheeseland. Wow. This is a really interesting track to me. The background being littered with giant mounds of cheese, the mice running about the track with a bad case of the munchies. This track's honestly really fun. Bowser's Castle 2 has a Bowser statue in the background. I'm jealous. And then we move on to the Lightning Cup with Luigi Circuit. I really like this track. The rain really makes it stand out, and the hazard of the puzzles is a unique obstacle. I wish my town had Luigi blimps. Sky Garden rocks. One of the most visually distinct tracks in the game. It's such a fun one to race on. Cheep Cheep Island is one I completely forgot about, but it's pretty. With a lighthouse set against a sunset in the background with these big ass fish jumping about the place, and it also features one of the most open areas in the game and these seagulls from Yoshi's Island. Nifty. Sunset Wilds is really damn good looking, with the transition from sunset to nightfall happening throughout the 3 laps. It's really cool. The only thing I remember about its layout though is the Shy Guy's intents that you have to avoid, lest you should have your head turned into a fucking chair. The Star Cup opens up with Snowland. Oh my god. Snowland features single-handedly the worst addition to Super Circuit. The screen shake. For sections of road that wouldn't be totally flat if this were a real racetrack, the screen jitters when you're driving over them for some added realism. This works fine in like the circuit tracks or something, where this is saved exclusively for the off-road sections. But here in Snowland, the entire goddamn track features this. Racing on this course just gave me a headache. It was awful. And when combined with the ice physics, this track just wasn't for me. In a game where a giant gorilla drives a go-kart and throws explosive shells, this is the realism you wanted to add? Then we have Ribbon Road, another really unique track, featuring birthday presents galore and a decently fun layout. Yoshi's Desert is alright. I very much enjoy the giant Yoshi Sphinx in the background, and the quicksand offers a fun obstacle? Bowser's Castle 3 might be my favourite of the Bowser Castle stages. Its layout is honestly nothing to write home about, but the theming and background elements more than make up for that. And finally, the Special Cup, kicking off with Lakeside Park. Ooh, I'm not a fan of this one. I love the volcanoes in the background and the fact that they spit boulders onto the track, but there are just too many instances where you'll jump into one part of the track, only for the barriers to be ramps that can send you right back to where you came from all too easily. It led to so much more frustration than anything, and I'm not on board with that. Broken Pier is fantastic. The theming here is sublime, with the creepy ass background and all, and the layout, while unremarkable, was really fun to play on. Bowser's Castle 4 is Bowser's Castle 4, which means it's great. Definitely one of the more unique Bowser's Castles. And then, Rainbow Road. I hate this track. I hate this track so fucking much! This track is horrible! The only barriers on this course are ramps, which means if you hit a turn too wide, you're gonna end up falling off the map, or if you're going too fast on the build up to a turn, you'll end up flying off the track. But there are speed panels, absolutely everywhere! It's damn near impossible not to hit at least a couple per lap, which makes it infuriatingly difficult to actually stay on the goddamn course. I can't stand this track. Not even the reference to Paper Mario 64 can save this thing for me. Which is fucked up when you think about it, because I can enjoy the end of the world, because it would be a Super Paper Mario reference, and I still hate this track. Now, the new tracks aren't all that Super Circuit has to offer, as you can also unlock all of the Super Mario Kart tracks in this game, which, if you ask me, is Super Circuit's single greatest strength. Not the tracks themselves, god no, they're fucking Super Mario Kart tracks. No, I'm talking about how you unlock them. In order to unlock these tracks, you have to finish each cup in first place, while having collected 100 coins in total. That's right, alongside every item from Mario Kart 64, coins are back in Super Circuit, and a grand total of 50 can be found in each of the game's tracks. Now that may make it seem like getting 100 overall in each cup would be easy, but the coins' layouts are rarely the most forgiving in the world, and can actually be quite out of the way relative to where you're supposed to be driving. And that, combined with the fact that getting hit makes you lose coins, makes this a pretty tricky task. I loved this edition, as spending each race trying to memorize coin layouts, trying to strategize which route I should take in order to maximize coin intake, being sure to still grab any item boxes so I could nab myself some defense. It turned Mario Kart Super Circuit from a pretty unastounding entry in the series into one of the most fun. Trying to nab 100 coins per cup was genuinely incredibly fun to me. I'd argue more so than either of the games that came before it. It meant that in every race, my focus wasn't just coming first, it was trying to maintain first place while collecting as many coins as I could and ensuring that I didn't lose any. It added a layer of strategy and straight up enjoyability to Super Circuit that I found to be insanely fun. And while the reward of the SNES tracks is fine at best, I found that going for as many coins as I could kept the game consistently incredibly fun. And that was really my biggest takeaway with Mario Kart Super Circuit. On the surface, it just feels like a weird amalgamation of Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64 that was lesser than those games in every way. But that just wasn't the case. Once you've broken through the surface of what this game has to offer and start engaging with its mechanics in a more meaningful way, it becomes a really fun racer that in some ways surpasses even the games that came before it. It has all of the charm of Mario Kart, with some more compelling mechanics that make each race feel more substantial, and because of that, I'll always really appreciate this game. I think I'll always prefer Mario Kart 64, but Mario Kart Super Circuit really impressed me, and honestly, it's managed to make driving feel fun again. I am so glad we made it here alive. Are you f***ing kidding me? We only got 98 coins!